Council is called to order. Can we please start with a roll?
Councilmember Rennie?
Here.
Councilmember Hudas?
Here.
Councilmember Badami? Here. Vice Mayor Risto? Here. Mayor Moore?
Here. Perfect. So we'll go to verbal communication, see if anyone from the public wants to speak ahead of our discussion this evening. Seeing none, I'll close verbal communications and I'll turn it over to the clerk to introduce this item for us.
Good evening. Council is scheduled to interview 2 applicants. The interview binders contain the interview questions approved by Council in Policy 2-11. The standard questions are limited in number to allow the applicant sufficient time to respond. You can decide not to ask all the provided questions, change the order in which they were provided, or ask other appropriate questions. The mayor will determine the order council members will ask questions for each applicant, and applicants will be given 2 minutes to respond to each question. Once the interviews are completed, I will announce the commission along with the number of vacancies and the number of applicants who applied to the position and distribute the ballots. Once the voting process for the commission is complete, I will announce the results. In the order for candidates to be appointed, a majority of 3 or more votes must occur. And the mayor will now proceed with the interviews. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You can come on up, have a seat. And apologies for the mic. So I'll ask you to both speak into the mic because this meeting is recorded, and that way they can hear it online. So that's the formality there, though we like to be a little bit less formal at the table altogether here. So how this process will work is each council member will ask you a question. We'll alternate who starts back and forth. If it works, because we just have 2 applicants, and we ask a question and both applicants answer, we'll alternate and we'll go through the 5 of us. If there's any remaining questions, we will ask you more, but you'll each probably have about 5 questions to introduce yourselves to us. So any questions about the process? Okay, perfect. So when we ask questions, if you don't mind using the mic, we would appreciate it. And you can just flip it on. Yeah, perfect. Do you want to just introduce yourselves to us, your names and...
Real name is Stuart Brewster, but I go by Skip generally.
I'm Laura Halbert, and I go by Wild Woman.
Perfect. Thank you. So Vice Mayor Risto will ask the first question.
Okay. Thank you both for being here. You both have very impressive applications. Given your roles in the community, what would you identify as a top thing in the next year or 2 you'd like to see community health and senior services address or solve? And I guess I'll go to Skip first and then Wild Woman.
There's so many things that could be. I actually made a list of different things, but I think the very first thing that I'd go is trying to develop help. I have a note here: developing help through possibly getting interns through the College of Health and Human Services at San Jose State to help with the aging staying in place. Keeping seniors to live in their homes, to me, is a very important goal that we could have. There's so many.
If I could ask a follow-on on that, I mean, would that be something you see as the commission overseeing, or the county, or the town, or?
When I was in the Peace Corps, they told us to not jump to conclusions, to do a needs analysis before you did anything. So I'm just winging it. It may be that the council is already focused on this, and there's other goals to put in place. I've read through the 7 other goals, and the 2 that I would probably want to focus on are the are of course Thrives and core senior services. And I say Thrives because I've been involved with Thrives.
Thank you.
Thank you. Laura, same question.
What I've lived here a long time, and I've seen a lot of really good things that have been happening in the town. Some of them I saw in the beginning, and then they go away, and then they come back. And I see this position as being somebody to put together the enormous resources that already exist. Communication, developing an attitude of problem solving rather than winning and losing. I think this town has a lot of really good stuff going for it. But a lot of times people aren't aware of it. So communication would maybe developing some sort of not a newsletter per se, but like a handout that lists the resources that are already available, but nobody really knows about them. My children went through schools here, and I don't think they were ever exposed or required to do anything with regard to community development. But my grandchildren, when they hit the high school here, they were. And it was a wonderful, wonderful thing that was required and I think could be expanded upon by working with the high school. And that is, the kids were required, it was a requirement that they do some sort of a good deed type community service. And for my granddaughter, it just really opened up a whole new world for her. And it also did a lot of good. My grandson learned that there were other ways and began doing things like random acts of kindness. Well, that would require maybe coordinating with the high school and that class to develop it, to have a senior component.
Thank you. And so when you have 2 minutes, I didn't warn you. So my apologies. I didn't warn you. You'll have about two. No, I didn't. You'll have 2 minutes to wrap up your questions, and you'll hear the ding. Though you do not have to take the full 2 minutes. So thank you. We'll go to Councilmember Badami.
Thank you, Mayor. Skip, I'll start with you. Can you expand on working with Los Gatos Thrives and how it inspired you to apply to the commission? Because I'm maybe making an assumption that that's what inspired you to apply to the commission.
Well, first of all, what inspired me is that Eleanor Vick came to me and said, "Please apply," and I didn't have any aspirations to do that because I got a pretty full agenda, but. I'm a member of the Rotary with Council Member Hudes, and I was asked by Tom Pecro to come and join Los Gatos Thrives because he thought with my Peace Corps background, as well as my all other activities in volunteering, especially with the United Methodist Church, that I had so many connections in the community that he thought that Thrives would be a good fit. Once I got to Thrives, people liked some of my ideas, and I guess one of the ideas that took off was I said, "Hey, we need some help, so let's go down to the San Jose State Master's Program in Urban Development and get some interns." And this turned out to be so valuable. I think that Councilmember Hudes agreed that this turned out to be so valuable for us to have this expertise and give this committee some extra credibility to move forward on the analysis of our needs. So I've always been interested, in the Peace Corps I was community development specialist. I've always been interested though in senior services. I'm interested in all people, but senior services because of our aging population. I've done a lot of voluntary work with seniors. And since the main, I'm not saying name, not even primary, because it's intergenerational community centers being built, but I'm really interested in quality of life for seniors. And as I said before, one of the programs is getting people to be able to stay in the home. Statistically, 82, I think it was 82% in a survey came out a couple weeks ago. 82% of seniors over 75 have number one goal to stay in their house.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Halbert, during your answer to the vice mayor, you talked about problems that go away and come back in Los Gatos. Mm-hmm. Can you expand on that and how you might be able to solve those in working in this commission?
Okay. One, when I first moved here, I was active in a hospice group. And one of the resources available was PG&E. You could call them, and that was when they were still walking around, reading meters. They, if they received a request, they'd knock on the door and do a welfare check. The churches were much more involved and had programs that helped. I started a casserole group at one of the churches, whereby if there was a parishioner that was undergoing some sort of trauma, like a death in the family or hospitalization, instead of one person doing it as on the casserole brigade, I'd sign you up for Mondays and you up for Tuesdays, and you until we, and then we would make one phone call to the family impacted and find out if there were any allergies or if they were possibly eating kosher foods, whatever a special need might be. And then every day at 5 o'clock, the Monday person would drop off a meal that was enough to feed them for that night and freeze for a second meal. So the churches seem to, I don't hear much about them anymore. The police, I think there was more what we called in those days community policing rather than just law enforcement.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Rennie?
Okay, well, I'll start with Laura. I'll give her a chance first this time. One of your answers, you said you have a wealth of experience servicing the needs of the target population, and perhaps you've started to answer that, but could you expand on that a little bit more?
Well,
Laura, can you grab the mic?
Oh.
Thank you.
With Jim McEntee, I opened the first cold weather shelter in the county, and that not only did it help all these people, it educated the heck out of me. And we found out that sometimes just throwing something at somebody wasn't really help. That we had to, for instance, to come into the cold weather shelter, you needed to be sober. Otherwise, you were going to come in, yes, we would be feeding you and protecting you, but you would be endangering all the other people. So then I worked for Volunteers of America and opened up a community mother-infant program that took in federal prison inmates, state prison inmates, and county inmates that were mothers with children under the age of 2, and that would be in lieu of prison. And we would teach living skills and also to work and earn what you need. There are many ways to earn it. It doesn't have to be hard labor and shoveling. Again, building upon resources.
Okay, thank you. Skip, you answered the same question with experience with the LJ55 playing ping pong, and you've probably seen me in there putting the puzzle together, and I've spent a lot of time playing cards and so forth. So I get a feel for kind of what goes on there, and one of the things this commission does is analyze or maybe oversee the services the 55 plus program provides. So in your time there, have you got a feel for how's it going, things going well, maybe things that could be improved, observations?
Thank you, Councilman. The staff are wonderful. They are dedicated and they are friendly, but they have limited space. And they do so much. If you look at the calendar that I think that came out yesterday, they just do so much in outreach. I go to several events, but I do go to, I'm pretty good at playing a little Pong. And it's more social than it is actually physical. And people get to know each other. And people said to me that they come more for the social rather than the activity. And so this is reinforced to all community centers throughout the United States. We're not reinventing the wheel here. And the fact that the United States is such an aging population, we can gather information, as the Thrives did, from our community centers in the Santa Clara County. So there's just so much information that we can hitchhike on from other community centers. But I'm not going to be negative all about this community center because they do the maximum amount of work and value with the limited space and budget that they have. Let's face it, there's always a budget restraint. I just participated in the Rotary-sponsored it's not really a New Year's party because it's like 10 days later, where I served all the mock cocktails. And it was a fun event. I think maybe there's 100 people there, and it was up for a low-cost event. It was wonderful. It was great. And the Peace Corps. Part of our mission, our goal was working with 17 to 25-year-olds, but we also knew the health needs in our community. And that's why my biggest project in Armenia was starting a diabetes support group. So that may relate, possibly, I have no way of knowing, but maybe we need a diabetes support group because, as you know, statistically, 18% of people have diabetes over 65.
Thank you. Are you missing out on a Rotary event at Galley right now? I walked by. It looked like your Rotary was in there.
There's a big crowd over there. I'm not much of a drinker, but I might stop by and have an hors d'oeuvre in a bit.
Councilmember Gatos?
Yeah, thank you. Skip, I'll start with you. You mentioned one of the unmet needs is aging in place. I wanted to maybe just continue that conversation a little bit. What are the things that you think would make it easier for older adults to age in place in those countries?
Well, my personal experience is my mother, who passed at 97 2 years ago. And my brother and I and my sister were desperate, she was in Florida, to keep her in the house. She was very outgoing. She wasn't the type to go to a retirement home. So we hired a lot of people to come into the house every day. Toward the end, it was every day. It was 4 hours a day. That takes money, but there are services with visiting angels that we used. But there are several different for-profit companies that will provide the services. So my mother played piano a week before she died. She sang. She had good quality of life because she stayed in her home. I got my brother and sister-in-law to buy a home with her, to live with her. So it turned out to be, and my sister-in-law is a nurse, so that worked out wonderfully. I don't know if that answers your question, Councilman, but...
Your personal experience definitely adds to that, and I'm sure it's something that the CHSSC will explore some more, as that's one of the goals of the roadmap. So,
but we don't have to reinvent the wheel here, because the National Council of Aging is putting out tremendous information, and our local county, the Age-Friendly Santa Clara, is putting out tremendous information on this. So all we got to do is tap into that knowledge.
Thank you. Ms. Halbert, if I could ask you, okay, Laura, you had extensive experience working for the county. Are there some services that you saw in this realm, older adults, that you think could be applied in Los Gatos? more or better than we've done so far with, relating to your experience with the county?
Can you speak into the mic? Thank you.
PG&E, for instance, offers resources to help elder people stay in their homes. But what was it, 2 years ago when we had that horrible blackout, I was in an area where the tract of homes went without power for a day or two. But there were 6 of us that went without power for 8 days. And 8 days is much harder to live with. PG&E was very willing to help, but not locally. I had to, they kept saying, oh, well, you don't have any lights or power, we'll put you up in a motel. The hotel was not acceptable. The police warned against it. So taking some of these big organizations that provide services in Los Gatos, Xfinity is another one, to make sure that instead of just providing the service globally, where I would have to go to Sacramento or San Francisco to access it, we get more local connections. It's the little things that really help seniors stay in their home. And maybe it's an arrangement, not only PG&E if a power outage, but I noticed that they come around to do work, and there are things that if they didn't, I wouldn't be able to stay in my home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Laura, we'll start with you. Same question for both of you in both of your applications, which again were both impressive. Both of you talked about some of the issues that older adults are facing, like loneliness and bridging divides and being more inclusive. And so my question is about if you have any thoughts on how the commission might work to bridge generational divides, understanding gaps between different generations, through things like mentorship or,
Sure.
Connecting, things like that. If you have any thoughts on that topic.
I do. Again, going to the high school, maybe even the junior high, to build grandparent groups where the kid can go and do something for this elder. That would be the loneliness factor. But the elder person, the grandparent, would enrich the kid so that there is more of a bridge. There are a lot of children in this town that don't have grandparents locally. And grandparents serve a unique role. And right now there's that horrible criminal trial going on with the woman, they call her the Los Gatos party mom. Better communication and people working together.
Remembering the mic.
Possibly short
You got it.
circuit at that. So again, building on building bridges.
Thank you. Skip.
So the question is, what can we do for intergenerational connections? Yeah. Our research shows that older people want to be with younger people, and surprisingly, younger people like to be with older people. So activities, my mother, had to talk to her again, she loved singing. Singing is a great way to bring people together. And I'm talking about middle-aged adults. More intellectual opportunity. I do voluntary work with Jewish Family Services, and I tutor people who are not native speaking, English speaking, and they are so smart. In their 80s. That was only 40 seconds. Sorry.
Get another minute.
in their
or so, yeah.
80s and early 90s. They are so smart. They're still so with it. So maybe I'm not being negative, but maybe we should overestimate the intelligence of older people and their experiences and have a high goal or a high standard for having talks, discussions, and bringing, especially in cultural. My mother loved these trip discussions, or we went to Greece for 2 weeks and with the slides. They love those type of presentations if we have the space to do this. So, they love to travel because it's all, we sit in your seat, but you're going to Venice. It's wonderful. So anyway, I just like to overachieve and treat older and even younger people to have higher expectations of their intellect and their needs, just to bring them in, so they're not bored.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you both very much. Are there any final questions for the group? All right. Seeing that. Oh.
I have a last comment, and I meant to say it before. As you know, I was married in this United Methodist Church 46 years ago, and I've been involved with Live Oak quite a bit. We have to. One of my goals is to get more funding for Live Oak. It was, started in 1983, and it's now got 4 different locations. But there's so much good that comes out of Live Oak. I'm so proud of our church being able to keep pushing that along. Sorry to jump back in.
Both the nutrition and the
Both daycare and nutrition. And I just think we can get it going a little stronger.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely an important cause. For fairness, Laura, do you have any closing comments?
I like a lot of his ideas, but I want to go back to the fact that I think a lot of the resources already exist in this town. They need to be put together, and this person can, or this business can provide this. Next one can do something else. You mentioned singing. There was a group at one point from, I believe it was from Fisher, where the kids would go to the nursing homes and sing. And I remember it was a very popular thing, but those things seem to be fading away.
Thank you. Thank you both very much. So you can have a seat back in the pews, and we'll... yeah, absolutely. No, thank you both.
Thank you. 2 applicants were interviewed for the Community Health and Senior Services Commission. There is 1 short term expiring December 31st of 2028, and we will now be distributing the ballots. Okay. We have 4 votes for Stewart from Hudis, Rennie, Moore, and Badami, and 1 vote for Laura from Risto. So the majority vote goes to Stewart, and he will be appointed to the Community Health and Senior Services.
Congratulations, Skip, and thank you very much, Laura, for applying. It's always hard when we have two very qualified applicants, so thank you both for your interest. And moving forward, the clerk can share maybe more specific details, but toward the end of the year, we'll reopen applications. There'll be more opportunities to apply to more commissions, so thank you.
Mayor, would you like to adjourn the meeting?
I sure would. This meeting is adjourned.